If you've been down to Russell Square, you might have seen this bookshop in amongst the cafes and boutiques, but you might not know it's home to some of the more mystical people in London. They stock books and items to do with paganism, Wiccans and Druidry, and it's a belief system that's on the rise.
Pagan spirituality had a big revival in the 20th century, and that is finding divinity in nature. And it's not surprising, given that that had a big revival just as we were starting to lose the countryside. There's a great irony, which is a paradox about paganism, that it is absolutely tied to nature, it's integral to the reverence of nature and connecting with nature, and yet it flourishes in cities. Nature's just not a pastoral cliche. Nature's under the streets, and we're right in the middle of a river. There's a wonderful thing about esoteric people and pagans, and that is that we don't own property. What that means is where we meet and where we find one another and where we have our conversations and our social life has traditionally been bookshops. So there's a 500-year-old tradition of the occult bookshop being the place where you get together. At Treadwell's, there's probably some magical or cultural thing happening here about 4 nights a week. So there may be incense burning, candles being lit, wine being drunk, parties being had, meditations being had. So we're as much a cultural centre and an event centre as we are a bookshop.
Because nature is such a big part of paganism though, there's still the need to experience the great outdoors. Here in Lewisham is a stone circle created for the millennium, and it's an important site for the capital's Druids.
We believe in reincarnation. We believe that the reincarnation can happen between animals, human beings and plants. We're particularly concerned about nature, and as a result of the modern ecological movement, the green movement, Druid is becoming more and more popular. The stone circles had a number of different uses, and there's a lot of argument about what they all were. They were certainly aligned to certain sunrises on particular days. The circular shape also reminds us of the circle of life. Druid is a lot about circles, the cycle of the day, the cycle of the year, very, very much a continuing rebirth, death and rebirth, rather than the rather linear, you're born, you die, you go to heaven or hell. People aren't totally satisfied with life at the moment. We've had a very tough time economically, and that tends to make people wonder a little about whether the material benefits of grab, 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 gain, gain, gain are actually worth it, whether in fact they can't, at least alongside living in the material world, exist a little in the spiritual world, and I think that's a very good thing.